I say, Jimmy Henchman on the phone. He want to holler at you. Suge say, where you at, little You sure could run fast, you little punk. So at this time, I realized something going on. Mm-hmm. Jimmy tells him, yeah, you caught me slipping, but you didn't catch me. He said, I sent you one message already. He like, yeah, I sent you one message. He said, but I ain't giving you no more chances. Next time I catch you, you know what it's gonna be.
In the early 1990s, Suge Knight and his business partner Dr. Dre had taken over hip-hop with their newly formed record label, Death Row Records, launching their first project on the label in December 92, The Chronic, which would go on to sell millions and millions of records throughout the year of 1993. Suge Knight wasn't just a music mogul, but behind the music, he was notoriously known as the most dangerous man in the world of hip-hop. Suge's horror stories date back to the late 80s when he was just getting his foot in the door in the music business. Suge grew up in the east side of Compton in the Linwood section. Linwood was an all-blood section, territory of the east side mob Piru. Suge didn't claim any sets growing up, but he's definitely close with a lot of the bloods in his neighborhood. Suge didn't put his focus into gangbanging, but rather becoming a football prospect. After being transferred to the University of Nevada and playing football for 2 years, Suge would go unselected in the 1987 NFL Draft. He would be offered a contract to play for the San Francisco 49ers, but after an altercation that summer which led Suge to shoot his friend he was arguing with, they retracted their offer. He would then be offered to the Los Angeles Rams training camp and would be cut during the camp. Suge would be brought on as a replacement player during the 1987 NFL player strike. He would only end up playing 2 games for the team before being cut and would then venture into the music business. During this time, a gangster and convicted criminal named James Rosemond, frequently known as Jimmy Henchman, was trying to get his foot in the door in the music business as well. James was born on February 5th, 1965 in Harlem, New York, but grew up in Flatbush, Brooklyn in the Vanderveer Gardens projects. Rosemond was raised by 2 immigrants who migrated from Haiti in the early 1960s. His parents would eventually divorce while he was at a young age, leaving his mother to raise 5 children by herself. Rosemond would then begin acting out at the age of 16, where he would find himself arrested for stealing a bike. Rosemond would be sent to Rikers Island in the Juvenile Detention Center. While at Rikers Island, Rosemond would meet a stick-up kid from Brooklyn by the name of Kelvin Martin, aka 50 Cent. Rosemond would meet more criminals and start getting deeper into the criminal underworld of New York City. Rosemond would adopt the nickname Jimmy Ace while incarcerated. After being released, Rosemond would really start getting into the streets, and by the age of 18, he had caught more and more cases, being charged with criminal possession of a firearm. He would be cut loose once again, but continued getting in trouble because just 3 months later, he was arrested and charged with robbery and second-degree murder. Jimmy managed to get himself out of this, but a year later was bagged again for criminal possession of a firearm. Somewhere along the lines, he would adopt the nickname Jimmy Henchman. After serving his time in Rikers Island, he wanted to leave the life of crime and go legit. Throughout the 80s, he had built up a reputation as one of the most feared street legends in Brooklyn, but it was time to go legit. In 1991, Jimmy would co-found a hip-hop mega conference called How Can I Be Down? Jimmy saw hip-hop as his way out of the streets, and his way to make clean money. Henchman was also behind rap group Salt and Peppa's hit 1993 single Shoop, which would end up peaking at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. In 1992, Dr. Dre, who was the co-founder of Death Row, and Miami rapper Uncle Luke would end up beefing. Luke and his artist JT Money would diss Dre in February 1992 on his album I Got Shit on My Mind on the track Fakin' Like Gangsters. The beef came to a spearhead when Dr. Dre and Snoop would publicly diss Luke on wax on their track Effin' With Dre Day, which would appear on Dre's debut album The Chronic in December of '92. A music video was eventually premiered for the track 6 months later on May 8th, 1993. That same day, the track would be released as a single, and on the vinyl appeared a track called Puffin' on Blunts and Drinkin' Tanqueray, which once again saw Dr. Dre dissing Uncle Luke. During this time, the East Coast versus West Coast beef was a thing, and Suge Knight wanted to take over both coasts. Jimmy Henchman was just getting himself started in the music business. In 1993 is when the beef between Jimmy Henchman and Suge Knight would officially begin. According to Lance Rivera, Uncle Luke would invite Suge Knight, Dre, Snoop, and some of the artists to Miami in an attempt to squash the ongoing beef with Dre and Snoop. Lance says that it was in Miami where Jimmy Henchman would also show up, and he witnessed the beef with Suge Knight and Jimmy begin.
At this time, Luke and Suge and them was at war. Luke invites us all down to Miami. I was there when the Jimmy Henchman beef started with Suge Knight, because this was the original beef that they encountered.
During this time, Jimmy was managing artists throughout New York, one of those being a rapper from Flatbush, Brooklyn named Little Sean. This brings us into November 30th, 1994, when Jimmy Henchman would allegedly set up Tupac at the Quad Studios in Manhattan, where he was shot 5 times. Tupac thought he was going to the studio to earn $7,000 to do a song for one of Jimmy's clients, Little Sean, but ended up being robbed and shot. I bring this up because Tupac would eventually sign with Death Row after Suge Knight bailed him out in October of 1995. The two became real close, and Tupac wanted revenge on the people that shot him. This meant that Suge Knight, who was also beefing with Jimmy Henchman, as the two already had a beef stemming from the 1993 meeting in Miami. Around this time, Jimmy Henchman would form his own rap management company called Henchman Entertainment. He was becoming close with more and more New York artists like Biggie and Junior Mafia, who appeared alongside his client, Little Sean, for the track Don Perignon earlier in the year on July 20th, 1995. In the music video, you can see Henchman Entertainment shirts being displayed. Jimmy was rubbing salt in the wounds of Tupac, knowing that Pac was furious at him for allegedly setting him up. It was believed that Jimmy wanted to teach Pac a lesson after he publicly disrespected New York street legend Haitian Jack live on television during his assault case trial. In the summer of 1996, Tupac was working on his album, which was originally called The Don Illuminati, The 3-Day Theory, under the stage name Machiavelli the Don. On July 8th, 1996, Tupac recorded a track called Against All Odds. On the track, Pac would infamously diss Jimmy Henchman, promising payback for the Quad Studio shooting. The track would be released posthumously on November 5th, 1996 on the Don Illuminati, The 7-Day Theory.
And did I mention, promise to pay back Jimmy Henchman in due time? I need just listening, the world is mine.
After this, Suge and Jimmy's relationship would remain sour, and things would get very deadly very fast. In 2004, Jimmy Henchman was managing his newest client, Compton rapper The Game. The Game was a protege of Dr. Dre, which was Suge Knight's bitter enemy ever since Dre left Death Row back in February 1996. Suge tried sabotaging everything Dre did, and seeing Dre's new artist become one of the biggest rappers was not sitting well with Suge Knight. On August 29th, 2004, at the 04 MTV VMAs in Miami, Suge and Game would end up running into each other and having a face-off. It was heavily rumored that Suge Knight allegedly slapped Game in the face. Rumors began circulating online that Suge slapped Game. According to Game, his side of the story is that he was never slapped by Suge Knight and they just had a brief face-off. He would later claim in 2019 in an interview that he pulled his gun on Suge, but this has not been confirmed. Yuckmouth would add fuel to these rumors when he would mention it on his diss track towards Game.
Your first album went wood and every week you get slapped by Suge.
The Game would address the rumors on his 2004 mixtape Welcome to Compton Part 3 on the track New York.
Streets is talking, Game got slapped by Suge. False, I was face to face with him.
I bring this up because Jimmy Henchman, being Game's manager at the time, did not like how Suge was trying to intimidate his. Jimmy also didn't like how Suge was bullying Dre, after it was reported that Suge Knight may have had a role in the altercation that took place at the 2004 Vibe Awards in November, where Dr. Dre was assaulted. Jimmy did not like how Suge ruined the Vibe Awards, so that would make strike 2 for Suge in Jimmy's book. The next year, in 2005, another incident would occur, this time in LA. Sometime in mid-2005, street legend and Rollin' 60s Crip Big U was doing business with Jimmy Henchman, getting Game a contract to have his own shoe. Big U was also cool with Suge Knight because he was close with Corrupt, who was signed to Death Row at the time and the president of Death Row. According to Big U, in an interview with The Breakfast Club, he met Jimmy Henchman at a restaurant to discuss Game's shoe contract, and a run-in with Suge Knight occurred. I got out of prison 6 months before Suge. Me and Suge hooked up. The first money I ever made in hip-hop, I made it doing Game's shoe contract with Jimmy Henchman. So I meet Jimmy through Henry Black. Now, I'm naive to hip-hop, so Jimmy's coming to meet me because he heard of me coming home. Jimmy comes and meets me at the restaurant, and I didn't know about this beef between him and Suge. I really don't get it. So Jimmy comes in the restaurant, and I'll never forget this. He got on all white, a black in all white, and he got a bad chick with him. This dude looked like Miami Vice. Right when he's walking into the restaurant, Suge's pulling up in the back with about 15 cars. Suge was coming to pick me up. I was going to meet Jimmy, then jump in with Suge and roll off. Now there's like 20 dudes coming and they're walking in. I was like to Jimmy, why don't you go leave out the back and I'll talk to Suge? And the dude Jimmy was like, I can't do that. That's where I gained a measure of respect for him, because he was like, I can't run. And it was just him and the female. I don't know if he was strapped or not. I made an appeal to Suge. I'm not telling Suge what to do. I'm like, listen, I'm trying to do business with this dude. Evidently, his appeal did manage to quell the tension, though not entirely. Suge blew a puff of smoke and told Jimmy, quote, my brother is the only reason you gon' make it out of here. And I'm like, damn, I gotta learn these politics. On August 28th, 2005, the MTV VMAs would take place at the American Airlines Arena in Miami. Suge Knight and Jimmy Henchman would both attend the show. Kanye West would host an after party at the Shore Club. After the show, Suge was at the after party along with Jimmy. After midnight, Suge Knight would reportedly be shot. Witnesses say Suge was sitting at a table in the VIP Red Room section of the Shore Club when a man walked up and opened fire. A police report described the shooter only as a black male wearing a pink shirt. Suge would be admitted to Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami Beach, where he would be in good condition. Hospital officials said he was scheduled for surgery to remove a bullet from his leg and repair a broken bone. A group of friends waiting at the hospital said Knight was alert and talkative after the shooting. It has been speculated that Jimmy Henchman was allegedly behind the shooting. Veteran industry photographer Johnny Nunez would describe what happened that night on a podcast in 2017. He claims that Jimmy Henchman pulled him to the side and wanted to take a photo, and that's when the shooting occurred. So Jimmy could have potentially wanted Suge being shot to be photographed.
About a few weeks prior, or maybe the year before, Kanye West's The Shore Club, I'll never forget, it was very vivid. Jimmy Henchman tells me, Johnny, come get this shot. And I remember that the game was there, and I knew that Suge Knight had beef with the game. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, excuse me. The game wasn't there. Jimmy was there, who managed the game at the time. Right. And he says, come with me, I want you to take this photograph. But I just saw Suge Knight by the bar. I said, Jimmy, I don't think it's a wise idea to go over there. He said, nah, it's a wise idea. Get your camera. When I give you the head nod, I want you to get this photo. I'm like, well, okay. So next thing I know, I follow him, and there's Suge Knight leaned up against the bar, and he was, with this talented blow, he'd make a perfect circle of a cigar smoke. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? So next thing you know, I saw Suge inhale, and when he exhaled, he blew out a perfect circular ring of smoke right into Jimmy's face. And then Jimmy went one head nod to the left, and then he looked at me and went one head nod to me. And I'm like, what am I shooting? Some guy with a musket just comes from behind Suge and boom, shoots him right there. I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, holy shit. Everyone, like a movie, for one split second, it was like as if everyone was frozen. Then, pure anarchy. Everyone's just stepping on top of each other. People are falling. Glasses are breaking. People are screaming.
Fast forward sometime after the shooting, Jimmy Henchman was still managing Game, and now another aspiring music mogul, Wack 100, would be introduced to Game around this time. According to Wack 100, another incident occurred between Suge and Jimmy in LA. Wack says that Suge approached Jimmy Henchman at the Century City Plaza in LA, to which Jimmy allegedly ran away from Suge Knight. Now this is all according to Wack. According to Wack, after that incident, Jimmy would be pissed, so he called Wack 100 demanding that Wack put Suge Knight on the phone. Wack then got them on a three-way, to which Suge called Jimmy a dude and said that he's a fast runner for allegedly running away from him. Then Jimmy Henchman would allegedly tell Suge Knight that he already sent Suge a warning and that next time the gun barrel will be raised, so instead of shooting him in the leg, he's gonna be shot in the head. This refers to the Miami shooting in 2005 at the VMA after party, saying that was just a warning.
Jimmy calls my phone. Yo, get Suge on the phone. Everything straight? Yeah, Wack, get Suge on the phone. Call Suge. Hey, he's like, what up? I say, Jimmy Henchman on the phone. He wanna holler at you. Suge say, where you at, little? You sure could run fast, you little punk mother. So at this time, I realized something going on. Jimmy tells him, yeah, you caught me slipping, but you didn't catch me. He said, I sent you one message already. He like, yeah, you know, I sent you one message. He said, but I ain't giving you no more chances. Next time I catch you, you know what it's gonna be, right? So I guess Jimmy Suge had called him at the Century City Plaza, and Jimmy ran from him. Must have been by himself.
Okay.
I don't know if Suge was by himself, had a couple guys with him. But you know, Jimmy little dude, you know, and Jimmy fights his wars the way he fights his wars. By any means, he wasn't scared on the phone. He was a little frustrated and pissed off that dude that came at him that way, to a point to where he alerted him on some shit that we was all totally in the blind about. We didn't know he had anything to do with it. So he told him and let him know from this day on it's on. And then got off the phone.
Fast forward. Florida. Y'all remember? Kanye West party.
Henchman?
Uh-oh. Bust on him. On Pyro, Jimmy told that on this phone number, on the three-way, hey, keep playing. I sent you a message already and got you shot in the ass. You keep playing, I'ma have 5,000, raise that barrel up a few more feet.
Fast forward to July 23rd, 2008. The Game was filming the music video for his track My Life, featuring Lil Wayne, for his upcoming album LAX. The video was filmed in areas in and around Compton. Wack 100 and Jimmy Henchman were of course present at the video shoot. According to Wack, Suge Knight pulled up to the video shoot. While at the video shoot, Wack says that Suge was trying to start trouble by telling people that Jimmy was the guy that got Tupac killed. Now this is all according to Wack 100.
My Life video, Game and Lil Wayne. Jimmy's still in the management seat. Who you think's at the video? Jimmy.
Jimmy?
Guess who else shows up to the video? Suge.
Goddamn Suge.
You know what Suge does?
It's Suge.
He gonna tell the homies, some young don't know no better. Yeah, that's the that killed Pac.
Oh,
They come over there to us. Yeah, Suge talking about that's the killed Pac. He won't. No, that's the that had him shot, and Blood told him he had him shot on my phone. And why Blood telling y'all some bull, right? Tell Blood gonna handle his business. He right there. We at a cemetery. We shooting at a cemetery. So ain't no you see him and go handle him. You go tell some young, yeah, that's kill Pop. Y'all need to go. No. Jimmy Henchman is 5'8", 150. Now you know what the man told you. I know what he told you because he told you on my phone. Go handle your business. Don't try to get the little homies on some crash dumb.
After that, nothing else happened between Jimmy and Suge because Jimmy would shift his focus towards 50 Cent and Tony Yayo. Eventually, Jimmy Henchman was arrested in June of 2011 and charged with heading a the trafficking ring. He would eventually have added charges in 2017 for the alleged murder of G-Unit associate Lodi Mack and is currently serving 1 life sentence plus 30 years. Suge Knight would also find himself behind bars in January 2015 for murder when he allegedly ran over 2 people on the set of the movie Straight Outta Compton. He is currently serving a 28-year prison sentence. That's how the story of Suge Knight versus Jimmy Henchman ended. 2 of the most dangerous men the world of hip-hop has ever seen.